Twisters, the spiritual successor to the 1996 hit Twister, just released this weekend, and it's surprisingly good. Like, really good. Hey folks, I'm Mark with the Rational Workforce Weekend Edition, and today we're taking a look at Twisters, a new film starring Maverick heartthrob Glenn Powell, rising star Daisy Edgar Jones, and Alexander Hamilton's kid Anthony Ramos. If you're a fan of the first film, the basic plot may sound a bit familiar. One or more of the main characters had some tornado-related trauma in their youth. That trauma destines them to an adulthood that's equal parts guilt and fear, but mostly it imbues them with a deep-seated need to chase storms and beat Mother Nature. Kinda sounds like the original, right? Well, the similarities don't stop there. One group of storm chasers are driven by altruistic needs, one group is driven by ego and money, and both bring a little something to the party that if they could just forget their differences and join forces, their chocolate and peanut butter would come together and create a delicious Reese's that would help put an end to the sucker punch that tornadoes always deliver to towns and cities in their path. But just because there are similar plot elements doesn't mean that the film's entirely derivative. This outing has some incredible scenes of destruction that are on par with, or rival, that of the original. There are some moments of great levity, but what makes Twisters so enjoyable is the chemistry of the lead actors. Daisy Edgar Jones is freaking adorable and intelligent, but it's counterbalanced with a vulnerability that's based in that early trauma, and she plays the nuances of it really, really well. She's a far more likable female lead than Helen Hunt ever was, who in my humble opinion was probably the weakest point of the original Twister film. And of course, Powell is charming and confident, and thanks to a bit of a plot twist, he ends up being a very highly likable character as well. He more than lives up to the high bar set by our beloved Bill Paxton, may God rest his soul, and I think Bill would be proud of this performance. Now together they more than carry the film, they're actually just enjoyable to watch. And their character exposition does more than just act as connective tissue between action scenes. You actually end up caring about them and where they go by the end of the film. Now, Anthony Ramos is good, but he's just kind of there in this movie. He's a decent actor. He's just not given a lot to work with in most of the films he's been in, and unfortunately, Twisters is no different. Now, this film does require a bit of suspension of disbelief. I'm not a scientist, I'm not a meteorologist, but some of the plot pieces and the action scenes do seem a tad incredulous at best. But ultimately, that doesn't matter. Whether you're watching sci-fi or fantasy or drama or comedy, suspension of disbelief isn't hard when the film surrounding it is well made, and that's the case here. Now, Twisters is directed by Lee Isaac Chung, who is probably best known for his work on The Mandalorian, and Steven Spielberg is one of the executive producers in the film, which is not surprising given that this is an Amblin Entertainment production. Now, I don't know how much direct involvement Spielberg had on the actual production, but it definitely feels like he sprinkled a bit of his pixie dust on it, and there are scenes that just carry that signature Spielberg touch. Now, another thing that makes Twisters so enjoyable is that it's delightfully devoid of any of the progressive posturing that seems to plague just about everything that comes out of Hollywood these days. It's a climate-driven story without any of the heavy-handed eco-psychobabble.
How dare you!
The female characters are powerful and capable without drifting into the girl boss caricature. The men aren't incompetent or evil. The cast is diverse, but their identity isn't a replacement for a personality. And it all just kind of comes together really, really well. You know, we're so programmed to expect a lecture these days. It's honestly surprising and refreshing when we're not forced to eat our vegetables in a film that is very much designed to be dessert. At the time of recording, it has a Rotten Tomatoes critic score of 78%, but an audience score of 92%, so this thing is crushing it from a review standpoint. And what's even more encouraging is Twisters has netted just north of $32 million domestically, with another $11 million from global box office in its first night alone. And that's a really respectable number, especially given today's economic climate. Now, all in all, Twisters was an absolute blast, and it serves as that high-energy popcorn muncher summer flick that are in very, very short supply these days. So get out there, go see it, and if you can catch it in IMAX, so much the better. There are some action sequences where the bigger and the louder, the better off you're going to be. And do me a favor, this is a new type of content for the channel. We usually focus on topics that are at the intersection of work and culture, but as you know the saying, all work and no play makes Mark a dull boy. So if you like it, drop me a note, let me know, and if it's not too much trouble, give us a like and a subscribe. It would really mean a lot. And if you do like this and want more, we'll keep this going. I'll be checking out Deadpool and Wolverine on opening night. Until then, thanks for watching. Have an amazing day.